please say and spell your name, if you don't.
Titus McClary. Titus capital C, Lary. It's amazing when you start doing the background on your family history. I went back and started looking up my mother's side of the family and got back to 1848, 1849. My mother's great aunts were sold from Penn County to Williamsburg County. A slave master bought one and went to another. And there was two girls. One was 14 and one was 12. Two girls were sold for about $500. The slave masters, sent his people to pick them up. And they picked them up on a horse and wagon, put them in the back of the buggy, and they tied them together. And they were in the wagon, taking them back to the new plantation from Williamsburg County to Penn County, South Carolina. And while they was taking them back, an eclipse of the sun happened. It turns it dark. And an eclipse of the sun plus a thunderstorm happened at the same time. That means it was pouring down rain, hail and lightning. And the two guys who were taking them back from the slave master they just bought them from jumped off of the wagon. They ran into a barn. And when they ran into the barn to get out of the inclement weather, the two girls who were tied together by their wrists, they ran into the swamp to get away. So when the rain let up and the weather cooled down, the guys went back to the wagons, the girls were gone. When I graduated from Highland Park High School, I was 5'1", and I weighed 112 pounds on my graduation day. That's how small I was. I was a runt. I was a small little kid. But I remember when I was even in high school, in Highland Park High School, I used to sit in the last class during the day. And you know what I'd be thinking of? A good excuse for me to leave this class early so I can get a head start on those guys who's going to chase me after school. I'm serious. I was a scary cat. I was scared to death. So what did I do? It says if you're a scary cat, what do? I took up boxing. I started fighting. I became a boxer. So I learned how to fight. I joined the Golden Glove, became a Golden Glove champion. In fact, even to this day, I am a secretary of the Metropolitan Detroit Golden Gloves. I'm still involved with Golden fighting. I'm still involved with fighting, youth fighting in Detroit. Yeah. But I took up boxing so I can defend myself. Yep. I was chicken. My wife, who was pregnant, and we was home for Christmas, and we went out on New Year's Eve. My wife and I and her parents, we went out to a New Year's Eve party. While we was at the New Year's Eve party, my wife says, I think the baby's coming. So we left the New Year's Eve party. Here I am in a tuxedo. My wife's all dressed up. We left the New Year's Eve party and went to the hospital, Highland Park General Hospital. And I sat there all day on New Year's Day until the next morning when my son was born. Now, he was born on January the 2nd. January the 2nd, I was scheduled to be back with the Army, but I didn't go back because my child was being born. I thought this was more important. So I tried to call Fort Leonard, Missouri to let them know that, listen, I'm coming back as soon as I can. So after my son was born, the very next day, I got on a bus and I rode back to Fort Leonard, Missouri. When I got back to Fort Leonard, Missouri, the captain called me into his office. I was in big trouble. I was able for my duties with the Army. He called me into the office and he started telling me that he's going to charge me with desertion and all this kind of good stuff. And we talked, and he's going to write me up and give me an Article 15. Article 15 means that you are written up on a charge and you can be charged and put in the stockade or whatever it may be. And we talked for a while, and I said to the captain, while I was home, your brother sent message to you to tell you hello. He didn't know that I knew his brother back in Detroit. He said, you know my brother? I said, yes. His brother lived in Highland Park, and his brother's wife used to be my administrator when I worked at Highland Park General Hospital. And so I told the captain that I knew his brother, I knew his sister-in-law, and all this good stuff. I was let off. completely let off. Go on, take care. You got it.